Hello, good morning. Hello, my name is Cynthia Orsini-Dahl of Ops for Vets, introducing Ops for Vets life members who sit down with me here on our show, Vets Get on the Grid, a series of conversations highlighting veteran entrepreneurs and their companies. I do this to honor my dad's memory and his service in the U.S. Marine Corps. This is my father, Sergeant Ed Brown, 1st Tank Battalion in Camp Pendleton, California, headed for Korea. Ed came home and became a teacher and an athletic head coach, passing on the military's legacy of discipline, integrity, and commitment. Ed helped his kids and the kids he taught for more than 30 years understand what he had learned in the Marine Corps, the meaning of integrity, dedication, and discipline, and what staying tough and true to yourself really means. As he always said, once a Marine, always a Marine. And we all knew it. Even our livestock knew it. In this image is my dad with his granddaughter and great-granddaughter, can you see it? Who will benefit from his legacy being passed on through me, even though I'm a civilian, because of my father's dedication, service, and honor as a United States Marine. It's in our DNA. I honor and have immense respect for the men and women who serve and protect our country here and abroad. That's why I'm getting the word out about veteran-owned businesses. It demonstrates that service never ends for those who choose to serve our country, then choose to share the knowledge that they received while they were in the service. They pass this on through entrepreneurship and the legacy of discipline, integrity, and commitment learned in the armed forces. This series lives on O4V.TV, Handshakes, Not Handouts, which is Chief Warrant Officer for Albert R. Renteria's site for empowering the veteran-owned entrepreneurs via his organization, The Arc. The Arc is spelled ARRC. And the spelling of the series is big O, the number 4, little v.tv. Now, with me today is a former U.S. Marine Gunnery Sergeant who has carried her purpose and passion straight from the Marine Corps into entrepreneurship. I would like you to meet Julie Franco. And I would like to say, Julie, thank you for your service and being an Ops for Vet Life member, joining me here on Vets Get on the Grid, where our viewers get to see where veterans like yourself are now and how veterans continue to serve after they've left active duty. It's also an opportunity to connect with fellow veteran business owners and building that collective to create that impact together, just like you did when you were in the service. This impact will make a difference in a child 100 years from now. Julie, let's shine a light on your past, your present, and the future behind your logos, because the viewers are going to hear that same passion evident in both of your companies, Gunny Gear and Franco Hauling. And as Julie says, I've always been passionate about representing the hard work and dedication it takes to serve our great nation. Julie has taken these values that she's lived in the Marine Corps, which is discipline, leadership, and resilience, and she's woven them into her civilian life through 2 powerful ventures. Now, after 16 years in the United States Marine Corps, and then more than 23 years of federal and military experience in logistics, she now proudly represents service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned and minority-certified firms nationwide. She's represented all 3 designations at the White House, and she did this in December 2023. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Management with specialization in small business management and entrepreneurship from DeVry University. She's bilingual in English and Spanish, which is another example of her commitment to serving at full capacity. And many of our listeners know that a Marine Gunnery Sergeant is no ordinary role. It's a specialized non-commissioned officer position rooted in Marine history. A gunny is a leader who is responsible for weapons, logistics, firepower, and the strategy to keep a company of up to 250 soldiers moving. Okay. All right. So it's no surprise that stepping into logistics, the logistics business comes naturally to Julie because it is in her DNA. So Julie, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for your kind words too.
Oh, absolutely. All right. I've got some questions for you so that everybody can get to know you and your company. Now,
Okay.
Okay, age 17, you made a
Yes,
decision
ma'am.
to enlist in the United States Marine Corps, and
Yes.
you went to your dad. And I want to know what made you decide at that age, especially with 9/11 so fresh in everybody's memories.
So yes, I was 17 years old, so I needed my parents' signature. And, in my household, you go, you ask your dad, he's the one that says yes or no. And I asked dad, I want to join the Marines, and he said, "What? Why?" And I'm like, I want to go. I want to go try it. Why the Marines? Because I wasn't sure if I was going to be good in air, land, or sea. So I figured I might as well go and do all of it and find out what I'm really good at. Plus the bonus, they have the best uniforms. So my dad was kind enough, and yeah, he signed. I think he signed because he didn't think I was actually going to make it through boot camp. But it just took me a little bit longer, but I was able to graduate as a Marine, and I was just my first major dream came true was when I graduated from boot camp.
Do you have any military in your family?
No, I know nobody prior to me. I didn't know anybody in my family, in my circle. I knew nobody that was in the military. I went in completely open minded, and I just knew that I wanted to be a Marine. I remember when I was in, I think it was high school. I went to the library and we had to do a book report. And for whatever reason, I gravitated towards this military book, and there was a Marine running through the desert with his M16 across his back in a German Shepherd. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. And that's where it started.
Okay, I can't argue with that. Now, women in the military are just as fierce and prepared as their male counterparts when it comes to protecting the country and the people that we love. You truly
Yes.
embody that in your service, especially earning, and that's what you call it, correct? Earning the title of
Yes.
Gunnery Sergeant. Something
Yes.
only about 10% of women who attempt this actually achieve this goal. I have to tell you, I didn't realize that there were women gunnies out there. This is really inspiring, and it's going to inspire a generation of women who have this idea but don't know where to go. And now they've got an example in you. Did you grow up around things like tools, construction, and firearms? Because my dad taught me how to shoot. I love to shoot, and here you are, a gunnery sergeant. And why did you decide to make that your targeted goal?
Um, I when I joined, I wanted to my whole goal was to do 20 years, and I was going to do anything and everything to ensure that everything I put in, I was able to get back somehow. And, you know, if I worked hard, the Marine Corps was going to teach me more. The Marine Corps was going to give me more responsibilities. It was going to challenge me more. And I knew that that was just going to continue to build with time. Um, I had never touched a weapon in my life until I was in boot camp. I seen one. My dad has a beautiful gun that hopefully I get to have one day, but I never got to fire it. I nothing that was very, I grew up in a Mexican American household that was very taboo. Those are for the guys, not for the girls. So that was nothing to do with me. Um, but yeah, the Marine Corps taught me how to do that, how to shoot. It was great. Construction. I've always liked to build things. I'm a very creative, like wondering person. How do things work? And if I do this, will I get this? So it's just kind of a balancing game. And I just fell in love with it. The Marine Corps gave me the confidence to be able to pick up a tool and figure it out.
Good.
So, like I said, I didn't know how to, there was no way I would know how to break down an M16. There's no way. But guess what? The Marine Corps taught me. So now I can do it in under 30 seconds.
Wow, congratulations. That is something I couldn't do. I'll be honest.
Yeah. So, and with that being said, I'm like, okay, so, screw gun, that's easy. Power tools, jigsaws, or anything like, I started remodeling and flipping my own house. And it
Okay.
just kept going and evolving to, and like you said, I was in logistics. And that was my military background. I loved it. When I was overseas, my job was to transport things from one side of the world into the other side. and it was a war zone. It was crucial. It was extremely important. And even though I was only 18 years old, I took my job extremely serious because I
Wow.
knew that the nation counted on us. And I was going to do my part. And I just fell in love with logistics. So my brother was a truck driver, and it just made sense.
Okay. Got a question for you. You were
Yes.
faced with a career ending injury before you left the Corps. And after leaving the service, how long was it before this entrepreneurial spark hit you? And especially the other, what what made you decide to go ahead and create clothing with a message for those who served and are serving?
Um, so I've always, when I was 17 years old, I've been very goal driven, and I knew I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to go to college, and one day I was going to work for myself. I had no idea how any of this was going to happen besides boot camp. But I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I graduated and once I got out of active duty, I decided to use my GI Bill, which is a beautiful benefit that we have. And I got my education and I went into business management school. Um, Unfortunately, I found out that when you own your business, you have to work 60 to 70 hours without getting paid. And I was not going to do that. I was like, that's not for me. And I actually went and I joined the federal services. So I worked for the VA and the FAA for a while. But when I worked for the FAA, I also worked in the construction field. I, it was like my life was meant to do this. So I just kept going with it. Um,
Full
so
sense.
yeah, so that was the first like once I decided that it is my time to live my purpose, because what happened was that my injury ended my military career. So it stripped away everything that I had and that I had earned. And now no longer was I going to be a Marine. No longer was I going to be Gunnery Sergeant Franco. So I thought, and all that stuff. So I got to a really, really dark place in my life. I was so depressed, suicidal. Um, it just didn't make sense to me. I couldn't understand how to make the transition from being in the military, being a gunnery sergeant or person in charge, like you were saying, all these magnificent things we were in charge of, to going to be a civilian. Um, it wasn't clicking for me. So I decided to take a step back and do the work. I went to the vet center. They saved my life. I will always thank them for that. And I went to counseling and stuff, and I learned that, hey, listen, the uniform was hung, but you still have a life purpose. Just got to find it. And I started, my brother and I always talked about going into business together for 10 years, and it was just kind of a joke. So be careful what you say because it'll come
Yeah.
true. and and sure enough, we launched Franco Hauling, and it has not been easy being a woman in construction field. It's not easy. However, the Marine Corps built me for resilience and grit, and
Yes.
we don't give up. That's one thing we are not good at. And I realized that I refuse to give up. That's not for me. Um, but in the midst of all of this, when I went to boot camp, I was only 88 pounds. And when you graduate college or you graduate boot camp, what's the first thing you do? You go to their stores to purchase a shirt, a
Oh,
t-shirt, something to represent the hard work that you earned, hence the word earned. And when I went there was nothing that fit me. I'm not your typical Marine size. I was
no,
five
you're
one,
not.
88 pounds. And I love being a woman. I love being a woman in uniform. So I wanted to make sure that we had something that would represent us. So as you can see, I'm wearing a pink shirt because, and with my logo, just because I was in uniform doesn't mean that I can't be feminine and can't be proud of what I've done. So now we have Gunny Gear, which is a military inspired clothing brand through a woman's perspective. So anybody that supports us, troops, either we're active duty, we're veterans, if you're a family member, you support us, this is for you. You don't have to be a gunnery sergeant. You don't have to be in the Marines. We just want you to support our troops. And remember that we're here for you guys. We love serving our country.
So, in other words, one of your quotes that I love, and you just basically gave us why you have this quote. if you have an issue, become the solution. You became your solution. And with that in mind, I would like to know what your message is for a child 100 years from now.
So I have two children. I have a 21-year-old son that was born in Camp Lejeune, and I have a 9-year-old daughter. And, everything I do is for them because I know one day I'm going to be gone. At the end of the day, I tell people, hey, newsflash, nobody makes it out alive, right? But what are you going to leave behind? What's going to be your legacy? So everything I do, I have them in mind. And I want them to know, and I tell them every day when I drop off my daughter at school, be nice, be kind, be smart, and do anything and everything that you want to do because you can do it. We're in this country, and this is why, and I tell them, this is why mommy fought for freedom. You have the freedom of choice to be a good person. So that's my message is dream big because you can.
Thank you very much. You're truly an inspiration, and I truly hope we see a lot more lady gunnies out there. Lady, because like I said, we're just as fierce and protective for the country and the
Well,
people we love.
sorry to interrupt, but did you know that women are actually re-enlisting 4% faster than men are?
No, I didn't.
I know, right? Isn't that a fun, interesting fact?
Wow. Well, we have a lot of we have a lot in our bones that we want to share
Yes.
and protect. I mean, it's important. And it's been a
Yes.
real pleasure finding out who you are and who Franco
Thank you.
Hauling and Gunny Gear, especially Gunny Gear. That's really great. That's something
Thank you. I'm
everybody can
really,
benefit from.
yeah, I'm just so honored and so grateful. Franco Hauling was 5.5 years ago, and I worked so hard with my brother, and we have put in the work, we have put in the resources and everything we needed. One of my goals was to work inside O'Hare Airport because
Oh,
I want any and every little girl that sees our dump trucks out in the construction site to know that if I can do it, they can do it too. So I'm so proud to say that we finally executed there. One of the dreams that I wanted came true. So now we're working towards more.
wow, that's fantastic. It's funny. You said, just real quick, you didn't feel like you fit at the table because you're tiny and because you're female. Doesn't really matter, does it?
No, ma'am. That's your superpower.
Absolutely. And being a Marine, too.
It helps.
Julie, thank you for joining me on Vets Get on the Grid and sharing your message as a
Thank
veteran
you.
who continues to serve the military now and in the civilian sector. We appreciate you providing and sharing seeds of inspiration to be the best you can be to those young people who are being nurtured and cultivated for humanity's success globally, now and in the
Yes.
future. If any veterans or civilians are watching our conversation and have an interest in being part of the Ops for Vets and becoming an Ops for Vets life member like Julie, sharing your inspiration and information and making connections, visit us at www.opsforvets.com/about, where we provide consultation support services for entrepreneurial and employment opportunities. And put Thursday, October 15th, 2026 on your calendar so you don't miss the next 15th annual Veteran and Small Business Trade Show. You can go to www.wherecommunitiesserveveterans.org for more information. And remember this: a dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And that comes
Yes.
from General Colin Powell of the United States Army. And thank you very much. Thank you so much, Julie. Really appreciate it. Great to know you.
I just want to say thank you so much for what you're doing for honoring your dad's legacy and his service. You children of the military matter and are important. And because of people like you and my children, we're able to continue to do our job. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And it's an honor. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, everybody.
You see him? He's just as dead as we are. Now, you listen to me, youngster. Someday you're gonna wake up fighting on a beachhead. You pray to God some guy doesn't get killed because of your foolishness. You join the Marine Corps, Owens. We don't deal in pity and sympathy.
I try.
Try? We don't try in this Marine Corps. We either do or we don't. We don't straddle any fences, you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Every time you make one of these little mistakes of yours, you're gonna turn around and I'll be standing right there.
Needing money or anything, you know? Man, I got over like a fat rat when I got out, man. I got my school money coming from the government once a month. I got my veterans check coming once a month. I got my 50% medical check coming to me for the rest of my life.